Let's take a look at the Yamaha R-N600A stereo receiver. This is the entry level in their R-N line, and it's a no-nonsense powerhouse I got to try out at home recently. I came away impressed and convinced that this receiver would be a great starting point for anyone starting to get serious about audio. First, the specs. It's a Class AB amp delivering 80 watts RMS per channel to 8 ohm speakers. It's 4 ohm stable, which I appreciate because I have a pair of 4 ohm Martin Logan bookshelf speakers I like to swap into my home setup occasionally. There's an AM/FM tuner, which is what makes this a receiver and not an integrated amp. There's built-in Bluetooth for easy, convenient streaming, and it's two-way Bluetooth that can beam the sound to a pair of headphones. There's also Wi-Fi, so you can stream high-quality lossless music from Tidal, Qobuz, and other services. Yamaha's MusicCast app ties them all together and also lets you control the N600A and anything else that you have that works with MusicCast. Apple Music is not supported by the MusicCast app, but the receiver itself supports streaming with AirPlay 2. I like the form follows function aesthetic of Yamaha gear. The N600A's front panel has a nice big volume knob, bass and treble controls, loudness and balance controls, and twist and push selector knobs, and also a convenient USB-A port for a thumb drive full of high-res music. A 1/4-inch headphone jack lets you plug in when you can't play it loud. You can use the remote for most things, but I really like being able to interact with the receiver itself. For physical connections, there are 4 digital inputs, 2 optical and 2 coaxial, which let you connect gear and take advantage of the N600A's high-end ESS Sabre digital to analog converter. You get 4 analog RCA inputs and a moving magnet phono input. An Ethernet port lets you hardwire the receiver to your network if you prefer. Then there are 2 sets of speaker terminals and a subwoofer preamp output. Yamaha really cares about streamlining their products in order to provide the best possible sound quality. I remember visiting their booth at CES a number of years ago and being struck by how their design principles had more to do with on the inside than the outside. They call this Total Purity Audio Reproduction Technology, or TOP Art, and you can see this principle in action under the hood. The left and right channel circuit layouts are meticulously symmetrical, and Yamaha looks to make the signal path as direct and simple as possible. The receiver's base is made from resin and designed to block or absorb vibration. And you wouldn't think vibration would be much of an issue in an amplifier like this, but Yamaha made sure to eliminate almost all of it. You'll see a button on the front panel near the volume knob that says Pure Direct, which really hammers home Yamaha's philosophy. Pushing this button bypasses the tone controls and turns off the display, so you're feeding that high-res stream straight to the DAC with no modifications at all. I like that idea a lot and found myself using Pure Direct mode most of the time, just to have the display off. I took the R-N600A home and hooked it up in my home office. I streamed music straight from the Tidal app using Tidal Connect, which worked flawlessly and sounded great. My primary speakers are Focal Cora 826 floor standers, and the N600A really made them shine. Those speakers can be very revealing, but there are times that I want to notch the treble back just a hair, and having a dial on the front of the receiver that lets me do that quickly is preferable to me than diving into an app. What I really like is how good music sounds coming out of this receiver at lower volumes. I listen at about 75 dB, which is the sweet spot for me of being able to hear clear musical details at a comfortable level. But sometimes I need to turn it down for a bit, and when you do that, you start losing some of the low and high frequencies. This is what Yamaha's loudness control is for, and here's how to use it. Start with the loudness dial in the flat position, and then turn up the volume to your preferred listening level. Then, use the loudness dial to moderate your volume, and you'll hear your bass and treble much more clearly as the volume goes down. It really works, and I found myself using it more than I thought. Word to the wise though, turn that loudness dial back to flat if you plan to jump back to Pure Direct mode, which bypasses the loudness control and instantly resets it back to the volume you dialed in before. Found that out the hard way. The R-N600A did an admirable job reproducing musical details from everything I threw at it. The laid-back grooves of Dire Straits' Communique, the various acoustic instruments used by the Carolina Chocolate Drops, the beats in Roots Manuva's first album, they all sounded alive and vibrant and rich with detail. And I feel like the R-N600A really gives you a lot for your money, despite it being the entry-level model in this series. If you want a little more power and Yamaha's YPAO room correction, you can step up to the R-N800A. If you'd like an HDMI ARC input for your TV plus some upgraded internal components, consider the R-N600A. And if you want Yamaha's best in this line, there's the R-N2000A with a toroidal transformer, a higher signal-to-noise ratio, and VU meters. Considering how powerful the R-N600A is, you can't go wrong with any of the others. But for me, the R-N600A hits that sweet spot in audio where you're starting to get really serious performance at a reasonable price. This is a receiver that can be the heart of your system for years, and it's one I'd recommend to anyone building their first serious listening system. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions about this receiver or anything else we sell, feel free to reach out.